I'll take it from there. We came to this topic by way of a series of coincidences, and if there's a single place where a lot of the serendipity comes to rest, it's right here in this building. This is where it started for me personally. When I was a boy, the family living three or four doors down from me, when I was about 6 or 7, boy, there was my best friend, and his dad was one of the crime lab chemists. He was one of the scientists in the crime lab. And so every now and then we'd get to do a little field trip down to the crime lab. And it was fantastic. I mean, these are the 1960s, and it's the perfect crime lab. There are vials of green stuff bubbling over a Bunsen burner. It's perfect. It's exactly the mad scientist lab, of your dreams. Heavy rubber gloves all over the place, big microscopes, and I thought, this is. If only I could do math, I'd become a chemist. I expected Dick Tracy to just come bursting through the door at any time. It was fantastic. Years later, Diane was doing some research on family violence in Vancouver and kinds of crime, particularly crime against spouses in the 1940s. And she came across a case in 47 that involved a domestic homicide. And we'll talk more about this later. The murder victim's name was Viola Woolridge, and again, oh, all right, show it to me. This is spoiler surprise. She's still dead. What sort of a surprise is it? We talked about Viola a fair bit, partly because of her killing, which is an interesting case in its own right, but also because of the trial that followed on that, and that's what we're going to talk about in a bit. And her killer walked, and we thought, this is just amazing that her killer, this guy calls up the police and says, I've just shot my wife, and he walks. It's just an amazing case, and we'll talk about it in a bit. Viola just didn't fit in, which is why her murder didn't really matter to the system. It didn't really matter to the city. And that's what we used to talk about, how there are some people who just don't fit in, and how the system really doesn't look out for them in many respects.